Yeah. I hope everybody has a good day. I hope everybody had a good day today. Is everybody excited? It's Valentine's Day tomorrow. If you are not, if you are, is the clock app is still my main app. The clock app is still my main app. But I'm trying to diversify a little bit. So I am trying to be better about posting on, or at least going live on both the Purple app and the Play Button app and the Clock app all at the same time. Eventually, I will have them all on one application, but right now it's weird. Am I the lady who will be reading? Yes, I am the lady who will be reading. I hope that's okay. Normally, I am more dressed up, but I am freezing today, and so I'm in comfy jammies. I'm not in the fun jammies that I wear for stream. I'm in my comfy jammies because I'm cold. My feet are popsicles. I just took off my socks though because the sensory. I hate wearing things on my feet. It's a sensory nightmare for me. But yeah. Hope you had a great V Day. I got Legos, which is amazing. Oh, nice. We have not celebrated Valentine's Day yet. We were gonna celebrate it tomorrow because the children were gonna go and stay at the grandparents' house, but that's not happening now. So we will be. We'll go out on a different day. You saw your stream when I was. Aw. Well, welcome back. We are currently reading this book, which is Mall Lockdown. For those of you on the other app, there we go. So we're reading Mall Lockdown. So far the book has been good, but it be a little violent. It is definitely not a quiet, relaxing bedtime story. It's a little more action packed. So I think this is kind of getting old. Well, so we couldn't do it a day early. So tonight I took Mini Mando to Taekwondo, and then tomorrow Mando Dad will take the girls to Taekwondo because so Mini Mando goes 3 times a week. Tiny Mando goes twice a week. And so Mini Mando usually goes Monday, Friday, Saturday, and Tiny Mando goes Monday and Saturday. So, and I'm so excited. It's so exciting. So Mini Mando got invited to join the competition team. So she tried out for the competition team, and she is now going to be on the Taekwondo competition team, and she was invited to be on their leadership team. So she'll help teach the younger classes as well. How many kids do I got? I only got the 2, Mini Mando and Tiny Mando, 2 girls that are of a younger age. They are not teenagers, so I don't like to share super amounts of their information because I believe in my kids having some online anonymity, and that's why there's there are a few random videos that they are on, but not many. Like most of the time they're not in my videos because I try to protect their identity online. So yeah, so they do travel around for competition. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I know they go to Georgia for some of the competitions, so that'll be interesting. Yeah. I'm not looking forward to driving. I'll have to drive, and I hate long distance driving. That's why maybe I can take the train. SNG! Yeah. Oh, and there might be a new Death Star IT video coming out from this week from a Tales from IT. I don't, because I work in governance now, I don't get a lot of stupid people doing stupid things with their computers, but I might have a good one for you this week. Yeah. This one makes me want to I ordered my new flight suit, so we'll have to I broke down. I finally bought a new flight suit for Death Star IT and for the 501st because mine is huge. I'm swimming in it at this point. So, and my Padme wig should be here on Monday or Tuesday. I thought it would be here this week. I was wrong. It should be here Monday or Tuesday. I am redoing the Padme corset because It bothers me. They didn't. So the apps team for the Padme corset, they didn't say I had to fix it, but there are some things that I noticed that are not perfect that I really would like to fix before I go and like present myself to the world with the Padme costume. So I bought the pleather and I printed out the pattern and I'm going to redo the corset just because the other one isn't perfect and it bothers me that it's not perfect. So there's that. What else for costuming? Oh, and I'm hoping that it is warm enough tomorrow that I can paint my Mandalorian armor. We'll see. I'm not so sure. But we'll hopefully. But I don't know. We'll find out. So, anyway. Oh, and by the way, I figured out why this book be so violent and why it is so much like Death Troopers. You guys can't read what it says. Maul Lockdown. Joe Schreibner, author of Star Wars Death Troopers. That explains a lot. The reason why this book is so graphic and violent like Death Troopers is because it's by the same guy who wrote Death Troopers. So that's fun. I figured that out today. Kind of like how I figured out that the guy who wrote Plagueis, that wrote Darth Plagueis, that was fantastic, also wrote Cloak of Deception, which is the most boring Star Wars book ever written. Like, what? What? How can you write one book that is so good and then another one that is so boring? I don't know. It's just things I notice about these Star Wars books. So, anyway, are we ready to read? Did I actually remember to put up the live goal? I did not. Hang on. Okay. Okay. So how many Star Wars books do I have? Hi Bert from Texas. How many Star Wars books do I have? I don't actually know the number. I can count how many I have up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 16 Star Wars books up here alone, and then I have a whole bunch of them downstairs on my bookshelf in my bedroom with my other books. But yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot. And they're not all like novels. I have things like that's a novel. I have things like the visual reference guides for episode 1 and 2. I don't have 3. I have episodes 1 and 2. This one is from when I was in 7th grade. I've owned this one, or no, even younger, 6th grade. I've owned this since 1999 or 2000. Like, this is an original print. I have read it so many times that the pages have fallen out because I have read the book that many times. They're not ripped, by the way. They literally just fell out of the binding. I read it so many times. And this is my dream cosplay. If I ever win the lottery, I won't tell anyone, but there'll be signs. This is the sign. I also would like the Flame Handmaiden. I wouldn't mind like the parade gown. I always like that one. The Senate gown is fine. It's okay. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. Weirdly enough, I've never wanted the main one that everybody associates with Amidala. So this red one, it's cool and all, but I've never really wanted that one as a costume. Now, these other two, I love those. The one with the purple and all that. The feather one and the red one. So I don't really like. I mean, it's okay. The feather one that Keira Knightley wears, like, it's all right. I've never really wanted it though. The feather one, and then I want the Flame Handmaiden. So, which is the orange dress. But without falling out of my chair, there goes something. There goes the book. So I have a bunch of Star Wars books. In general, I collect books. So, Are you into other things other than Star Wars? I'm into lots of nerdy fandoms. Mostly Star Wars, but I also cook and bake and garden, home preservation kind of things. I like Legos, I like Doctor Who, I like Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. I'm a nerd. I'm just a big giant nerd. Muppets, I love the Muppets. I very much love the Muppets. Muppets near and dear to my heart. Which I just watched the Star Wars episode. Like I literally just went the Star Wars episode of the Muppet Show. And yeah, that I always remember it being great and it was better than I remember it being even as a kid. Um so is KOTOR part of canon? It used to be, but I don't know if it is anymore, if I'm being 100% honest. I am not super like I can tell you in general like what's legends and what's canon sort of, but I honestly don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know since it's not really like a Disney IP and Disney doesn't really mention it. I don't think so. Um and I don't really like I don't get into the whole like weeds and debate of like, oh, it's canon, oh, it's not canon, it's legends, it's blah blah blah. I don't really do that as far as like what is Star Wars canon, what is Star Wars legends, because I notice on a regular basis that um Disney borrows from the Legends timeline to do their stuff now. So it's not I don't really like to say that something's only Legends or something's only canon because Disney borrows back and forth these days. Yeah, canon is what your heart thinks. And there are some things that like are that I will tell you that I will die on the hill that they are real. I will die on the Corky Kenobi hill. I will die on that hill. I will forever state that Corky Kryze is a Kenobi. I will go to my grave with that until Filoni says otherwise. Corky is a Kenobi. But like that's not canon. That's not anywhere listed in anything. Like there's nothing. Nothing that actually says that that's true. But in my head, in my head, there's an alternate timeline out there where everybody lived happily ever after. Padme didn't die, and Anakin didn't turn to the dark side, and you know, Corky Kenobi for life. Exactly. um, like there's just there are just some things that the Star Wars multiverse. Yeah. There's a multiverse out there. So like I don't know. It's what canon is what you want it to be. I mean, if you want to ignore that the sequels exist and you want to go like there's a part of me that really that the sequels are the multiverse, like they're not real. That the sequels are not real in the sense that it's not that I dislike them, but like I really love the storylines from the books that came out in the 80s and 90s. Like I love the Crystal Star and the Jedi Academy books and like all of those. So like to me, those are still canon. Like in my heart of hearts, Mara Jade and Jaina and Jason Solo and Anakin Solo and Ben Skywalker, like those are still characters that exist. So like that's still canon in my eyes. So it's I know it's not canon, but it to me it still is. And there's nothing wrong with the sequels either. Like I like them too. They're not the favorite, but I don't hate them either. um, so yeah, they could have already snuck in Mara Jade. I feel like Darth Talon is canon in your eyes. I mean, I think it's what it is. I think one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is that it is what you make it. What you the characters that you most closely um bond with and yeah, I mean they stuck in Jason. Um with the Ahsoka show. I mean, obviously, like, you 100% that was snuck in there as a lip service to the books from the 90s, but I loved it. I was on board with it. It was cool. Um and there's a there oh, the space bunny? I didn't see the space bunny. The other thing is, like, for me is that there is like there's a alternative universe out there, a happy universe where Fives didn't die, and that Kanan didn't die, and so it's, to me, what you think is canon in Star Wars is entirely up to you. And I don't, yeah, we have things that are definitely like, yeah, that definitely happened and it was on screen, but at the same time, like, it gets to be what you make it. Like, it's what your favorite thing about the universe, it gets to be your favorite thing, and nobody gets to tell you that it sucks. Um, that's I'm very much like, people like Star Wars theory can go live in a space hole. I don't care. Like, you don't get to hate on someone because they like something specific about Star Wars. Um, it, I don't like to, I don't like to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I don't like people that are like that. Darth Jar Jar, exactly. Darth Jar Jar. I love Darth Jar Jar. I don't, Darth Jar Jar to me is not canon, but still, Darth Jar Jar. I love Darth Jar Jar. And with things like, especially, there are things that are considered legends, but there's never been anything on screen that could turn something into legends. So, like, take the entirety of Darth Plagueis. Like, all of the events that happened in Darth Plagueis can still happen. Like, the Legends time, like, it's considered Legends timeline, but there's nothing that really has happened on screen that changes whether or not the events of Darth Plagueis happened. Death Troopers is another good example. Death Troopers is a Legends timeline book. We have no on screen anything that says that the events of Death Troopers did not happen. So, every Star Destroyer has a ship next. That is funny. I've never thought about that. Ah, I should include that in Death Star AT. Um, Star Killer is canon. Oh, Mini Vanda was playing that. I made her play that game this last week. Yeah. So, like, I definitely am more of a positive Star Wars fan when it comes to this stuff, because I'm just like, don't yuck someone's yum. Let people make the star. I'm very much like, Mark Hamill talks about this in one of his interviews. He's like, if you want Luke Skywalker to be gay, he's gay. These characters are who, the way the characters are to you is how they are, but only in your sphere of of understanding. But it's all about, like, what do you have an understanding of the story to be. Um he is a little bi-coded. You are, he is a little bi-coded. I'll agree with you there. Yeah, and they've kind of like, they've made some of Zahn's stuff canon. They've not, like, officially recognized it as being canon. It's, again, Legends timeline. But so, it's whatever you think is canon is what is canon. It's about how, it's what you believe. I think that's what Star Wars gets you to do. Like, you get to root for what you want to root for. So, I will say that, like, yeah, X is canon, X is Legends, but it gets to be what you want it to be. That's the beauty of this universe, is it gets to be what you want it to be. You are a part of the story. Oh, that would be cool. I would like them to do, like, one shots. Um, I want to see Death Troopers. I would love to see live action Death Troopers. I would love that. Well, they tried to go back to the old Republic era, but nobody liked it. Same thing goes for, like, Book of Boba Fett. Like, everybody complained, and now we can't get more. Although I would very much like more. I need more Boba Fett. I need more of my handful of sexy bounty hunters. And he also, so Boba Fett falls into a couple of categories for me of boxes that I like to check off of things that I find attractive, which is men in helmets. Also like the Mandalorian. I like Mandalorians. I like Casca. I like Bo. I like Boba. I like the Mando. The Armorer. I think it's the armor. I have a thing for people in armor, chicks and dudes alike. Um, and then we got clones. We know if you've been here a while, you know how much I love clones. Clone. And you cannot see the poster anymore because there's a shelf in front of it, but that's my spirit clone. That's my favorite clone. He's my boyfriend, and in an alternate universe, he did not die. He's still alive and happy somewhere. So Boba Fett checks quite a few boxes for me. Clones, Mandos, men in armor. Yeah. He's like, Boba Fett's just so perfect. So perfect. Anyway, you guys came here to read. I'm going to read. So, same rules apply as always. If you are on the other applications, I'm sorry you cannot participate in this part because I don't know how to get Twitch bits. I don't know how that works. Anyway, if you are on the clock, General Star Wars? It's hard to say. Anyway, the way it works, I read 2 chapters unless we hit the live goal, which is not a whole lot. It's up here. Then I will read 4 chapters. And really the only reason I do this is to support me buying more Star Wars books to read to y'all. By the way, when we finish Maul Lockdown, the next book will be Queen's Peril. I think that's where we are in the timeline because I believe. Before I. Yeah. So after we read Maul Lockdown, the next book will be Queen's Peril, which is the first book in the Queen Amidala series. We're gonna read Queen's Peril, and then we're gonna go into the Phantom Menace. So that's where we are in the timeline. And then we've got Rogue Planet, Outbound Flight, The Approaching Storm. I have to figure out where Queen's Shadow. Is it Queen's Shadow that's the second one? Queen's Peril is the first one. Queen's Shadow is the second one. So thank you, Luna. So I think Queen's Shadow, I have to look up where Queen's Shadow falls in the timeline. So yeah, once we finish Maul Lockdown, we're gonna do one of the Padme books. Now, disclaimer, before I read Maul Lockdown, this book be a little violent, okay? It's not a happy shiny book, all right? It gets a little graphic at times, so if you're squeamish, I would not suggest hanging around. I'm just warning y'all now. The book be violent. Okay? I don't want to get like, if you are a minor, make sure you have parental permission to be watching this. If you're a minor, I don't know why you're still awake. If you're on the East Coast at least, go to bed. Manda Mom says home. So if you're a minor, leave. It's not like it gets graphic in the way that like other books that I enjoy. Like, it's not like graphic in the sense of like AO3 graphic, but it's like, it's violent. It gets a little graphic in the description of the way that Maul fights. Okay, he rammed his horns through a guy's face. That's a scene that we had to hear about. So just putting it out there to the cosmos. Okay? Okay. We're all good? We understand? Good. I don't want to. There we go. All right. Chapter 11, From the Land of Ice and Stone. Oh, if we remember correctly, Maul has just been paired up with the next monster that he's going to fight, or person. And this is, I told you guys the other day, you guys had to guess what it was. The chapter of this title is called From the Land of Ice and Snow. What do you think Maul is going to fight? Yep. Okay. Maul got back to his cell with seconds to spare. The hatch slammed shut behind him, its mag bolts clamping tight with a vacuum-sealed thump. The panel of yellow lights had begun blinking red, and all around him the cell had begun changing shape. The floor bowing before his feet, wall plates sliding together with a now familiar grinding of alloy against alloy, constricting upward to merge with the ceiling. He breathed slowly in and out and took a moment to review what had just happened. None of it made sense. Not that he'd expected it to. The ventilation duct ambush had worked as he'd expected up to a point. He'd gone in fully anticipating a setup, and in this the guard had not disappointed him. A man like Iram Radiq hadn't survived this long without amassing an army of foot soldiers and lookouts, both inmates and guards, to mislead those who came looking for him. Was Zero working for Radiq? Could it be that simple? And there was a more immediate question of why he hadn't been killed when the guard had activated the implanted charges in his heart. Had the dark side itself somehow intervened in the last second to save him? The implications of the possibility made Maul catch his breath. For all Darth Sidious's talk of his role as his apprentice and eventual successor, Maul still felt precious little connection to the Sith's grand plan for the galaxy and his plan within it. At the Dark Lord's command, he'd spent years training on Orsis, and then on Coruscant in the Lemerge building, enduring years of privatation and the harshest imaginable discipline while awaiting his master's visits. And it was true. Sidious had spoken at length, intoxicatingly, about the dark side and its power, and more vaguely about the role Maul would play as he continued to study in his Sith arts. In his most solitary moments, Maul had dared allow himself to hope for the moment when the Force would announce itself within him fully, intervening in a way that could not be mistaken for anything but sheer destiny. Could this be the moment? If that's true. There was a sudden lurch, and everything jerked forward on its axis. Maul seized the hand grips on either side of the bench, wedging himself in place and feeling the hydrostatic pressure building in his face and neck as the entire chamber turned upside down, then tumbled sideways, pitching first to the left, then to the right. The cell spun, jerked left, barreled forward, jerked right again. Equilibrium abandoned him momentarily, and he tightened his grip. "Oh, thank you for the heart, me." There was a sharp clank, and the chamber jerked to a halt. Something hissed, a hydraulic hatchway on the other side of the walls, but the hatch in front of him remained sealed. Then, through the wall, he heard it. A low, bronchial growl. Maul closed his eyes and listened. Whatever was on the other side of that hatch sounded bigger and hungrier than the creature he'd fought earlier. The growl had a sonorous, barrel-chested timbre that shook the air itself. He caught himself stretching out with his feelings, and forced himself to withdraw, his master's voice burning in his ears from their final meeting on Coruscant. "If at any point you reveal your true identity as a Sith Lord," Sidious had told him, "the entire mission will be worthless. Do you understand? You must not ever use the Force, no matter what the circumstances, or all will be lost. Do you grasp the magnitude of responsibility with which you have been trusted?" Maul did, all too well. He continued to hold absolutely still, listening, attuned to this moment. When the growl came again, it had risen in volume and intensity, and was now a thick snarl of fury. Metal chains clanked, rattling audibly, and something slammed against the wall with a sudden deafening crash that shook the very bulkhead in front of him. There was another bellow, even louder than before, that he could feel in the hollow of his chest. The thing on the other side of the wall could smell him now, he was sure of it. It would not be long now. The blinking lights went solid red, and the hatch opened. Maul remained motionless for a long moment, looking at it. The Wampa was in chains, bolted to the floor of its cell with heavy nihilosteel manacles around its legs, wrists, and throat. It stood almost 3 meters tall, its thick fur matted with filth, grease, and blood. One of its horns had snapped off mid-shaft, creating a jagged ochre-colored dagger that curled only halfway around the right side of its head. Across its chest and abdomen, great swaths and patches of its white pelt had been ripped away to expose a puckered landscape of scar tissue, no doubt the results of previous battles. Its lips wrinkled back to reveal rows of razor-sharp teeth, and spittle flew as it unleashed a bellow of hungry, frustrated rage and jerked at its restraints. "You were right, Luna!" Maul stood his ground and gave himself a few seconds to evaluate the space where they would be fighting. The height of the ceiling, the diameter of the chamber, before turning back to stare the thing straight in its yellow, semi-sentient eyes. "Come, then." "You're not too late. We only just started, Tony. We're like 1 page in, 2 pages in. You're good." "Nope, it's a Wampa." It was a wampa. As if hearing his thoughts, the wampa leaned down and gathering its strength, and at the moment the manacles fell away. Maul never heard them hit the floor. The thing came at him. Maul leapt upward, dodging the initial attack, but the creature's massive arms swung around as it passed. Its claws raking his back, ripping through flesh to gouge deep. Ugh. How can I be this sleepy? I got a good night's sleep last night. Its claws raking his back, ripping through flesh to gouge deep into the muscle along his spine. See, it gets a little graphic. Maul felt his breath sucked in from his lungs. A cruel, hot spike, even now as he refused to think of it as pain, took hold of the entire side of his body, settling deep inside his nerve endings. The sudden smell of his own blood, sharp and coppery, filled the cell. Ducking low and then jumping for the ceiling, he felt hot liquid splashing down his leg, streaking the floor beneath his feet. He skidded, colliding with the wall in front of him. Was the small... Oh. Hang on. This behavior is not in line with our policies and may result in gifting suspension. What? That's weird. It's not... That was... What? Okay. I don't know. Did somebody report my live for some reason? Reporting it is boring. Why would you do that? Don't do that. That's not nice. I'm just reading books. Had they already changed the shape of it around him? Oh, maybe that's it. Maul took a breath and centered himself. Things were happening too quickly. He needed to slow it down, but the wampa was already lunging again, its long, ape-like arms swinging, claws caving shadows and smashing him back into the curved steel wall as its jaws snapped inches away from his face. Maul slid down through the pool of his own stuff, rolled free, and sprang back behind the thing faster than it could turn. Cocking back one arm, he tensed his shoulder and snapped his elbow into the base of the creature's skull, putting every ounce of upper body strength into a blow that should have shattered its neck. Nothing. It was like launching an elbow strike against solid stone covered with a thick layer of fur. That sounds scary. Now the creature rounded on him again, arms upraised and towering to fill what felt like the entire cell. This time, when it roared, the noise was more like a scream, a broken, phlegmy, bronchial shriek, as if the beast itself were somehow being tortured into attacking him. A flicker of realization passed through Maul's mind. Something's wrong with it. It's not... The wampa's claw shot forward, slashing diagonally across Maul's face. The moment of clarity vanished in the hot rush of his own anger. Maul lowered his head, tightening up his core, and hearing a growl rising up. His own growl this time, emanating from the most deep and primal pit of his being. He opened himself up to it, the deep venom of wrath taking control. Fast and sleek and powerful. It would not be long now. Dismissing the bright slash of heat across his cheek and the bridge of his nose, he dismissed the odd shimmer of insight that had immediately preceded it. He fell into a low crouch, letting the wampa come at him again. The next move would be its last. Maul sprang straight upward into it, driving his horned head into the thing's lower jaw, pulverizing its mandible and slamming needle-sharp bone fragments into its cranial vault. Maul couldn't actually feel the joints and fissures shattering inside the wampa's skull and knew intuitively that he dealt a killing blow. An unaliving blow. Sorry. Gotta remember to use the code words. But when he looked up again, the thing was on its feet, advancing toward him, howling and keening, a blind colossus. The headbutt had left its face caved in, a mass of the red stuff, an exposed bone. Somewhere within the cauldron of his anger, Maul felt a wave of disbelief. How was it still fighting? In defiance of all logic, it launched itself at him, all claws and teeth, a mass of unwavering unaliveness. Planting his feet against the wall behind him, Maul grabbed the thing by its remaining horn and put every ounce of his strength into twisting its head to the side. He wrenched the thing's head away from him and realized at the last second that he couldn't hold it back. Whatever was inside the wampa was far more durable than he'd initially expected. The thing lunged at him again, and sinking its teeth into Maul's shoulder, hitting a crucial nerve bundles. Ooh. All the strength disappeared from his hand and wrist, his body turning traitor at the worst possible moment. His arms fell slack, and he stumbled backward, staring up at his adversary. Darkness, like he'd never known before, was swarming through his peripheral vision, thick and pulsating, tightening with every second. For the first time, the impossible occurred to him. The prospect that he might actually lose. He lifted his head and wiped the red stuff from his eyes. "Look at it," a deep voice spoke from inside him. Not the voice of Sidious, but an instinct of self-preservation that far predated his service to his master. "Do you not see?" Maul looked. Something was wrong with the Wampa. Something deeply, profoundly wrong that went beyond the genetically predisposed violence and history of a predatory killing. Unaliving. Ah! Must remember to use code words! Unaliving! And just that quickly, he knew how to end it. Summoning whatever strength of his remained, Maul fired himself at the beast, hooking his hands into claws and plunged them through its fur, ripping into the soft tissue of the torso. The Wampa screeched and wailed. Maul barely heard it. Shoving his hands deeper, he sank both arms up in one elbow beneath its rib cage and into its thoracic cavity, groping until he found what he was looking for. The slick, pulsating mass of its heart. Oh my goodness! This might actually be worse than Death Troopers. And I watch horror films for fun. It's so graphic when you read it on a page. The Wampa's heart burst between his fingers like a dense and fibrous flower. At once, the thing tumbled backward with a kind of graceless, shambling sprawl, slumping against the wall with a low moan as if released from bondage beyond any chains or shackles. It gave a final, braying cough, shuddered once, and fell still. Maul licked the red stuff from his teeth and spat. He stumbled back, tried to catch himself, and failed. Fatigue was already taking hold, a dense and miserable web that made the simplest motions difficult. The red stuff he'd lost was not so easily countered. The darkness was coming again, and this time he knew that he wouldn't be able to hold it off. The last thing he saw was the cell around him shifting and beginning to rise. Then, blackness. Okay, so Maul won the fight against the Wampa. That's good. I mean, we have to admit, he's got plot armor. It's not like there's anything in the book that could actually, because, he has to survive. Shall we keep going? Or have I totally grossed y'all out? I can keep going. We'll keep going. Oh my. Chapter 12. FaceTime. The Twi'lek, known as Zero, stepped around the corner into the mess hall. He emerged as he always did, without fanfare, always within a crowd of inmates large enough to mask his point of entry. As far as appearances went, his was a model of absolute subtlety. One moment he wasn't there, the next he was. All around him, the hall was getting busy. The dinner hour had just begun. Falling silently into line behind two prisoners who just picked up their trays, he edged closer to them. Any news? I know! Waffle Heart's just in time for Valentine's Day. Aww. At the sound of his voice, the other two inmates turned and glanced back at him with a squint of recognition. Hazy, one of them said, his mouth twisting into a gap-toothed grimace. Where you been keeping yourself? Here and there, the Twi'lek answered vaguely. Who's asking? Excuse me. Just curious is all. We were all wondering what happened to you when that bomb went off. The firework went off. Can I say firework? Is firework okay? Pretty sure the one that did be... Oh. That one. I'm pretty sure I can't say that. What's the... Coconut? Coconut went off? We'll go with coconut. The Twi'lek frowned and shook his head. That was no coconut. Boom boom. Well, we're gonna, instead of boom boom, it's gonna be coconut. Because coconut sounds funny. Okay? Coconut. No? The kitchen staff found a pressure cooker full of chemicals lodged inside the dishwasher. He glanced at the line of inmates waiting to be served their evening meal. Guess we'll all be eating off dirty trays for a while. The second inmate blinked, processing the information. Somebody sending a message? Creating a diversion? Like, I don't think so. What then? Zero didn't answer, and scanning the room in front of him. The inmate to his right, a convicted smuggler and three-time loser named Miggs, gave a shrug. Yeah, well, what you gonna do? Am I right? With a distracted nod, Zero stepped forward. They carried their trays into the serving line, bypassing a half-dozen members of the Gravity Massive, their faces bruised and swollen. At least one of them was still actively making red stuff through his makeshift bandages. You hear what happened to them? Miggs asked. Running with the Bone Kings, Zero said. Word is they hashed it out in the tunnels last night before the bout. Figures. Mig held up his tray so that the service droid on the other side of the counter could slop a ladle of colorless protein gel into it. Ugh, this stuff smells worse than usual. Behind him, Zero raised his own tray. With a click of recognition, the kitchen droid paused and then turned to lift the lid on a different serving tureen, extending tongs from its manipulators to serve Zero a steaming portion of succulent-smelling meat and fresh vegetables. Tralodon steak, medium rare, with Remorian caponata, and a side of fresh Zufar greens, it announced. Thank you. Zero nodded and took the tray, carrying it forward while the droid went back to the vat of gray, semi-liquefied gel for the next convict in line. You see the fight, by the way? He asked. You kidding? Miggs glanced at the Khan, who had followed them into the main dining area, to their usual table at the far end of the room. Halleck and I clocked the whole thing on the holo from the gallery. Watched it like 8 times already. Sitting down, the inmate behind him, Halleck, bobbed his head up and down. Squall of a thing, too. You should have clocked on it, Zero. For real. Aw. Hang on. Yeah, I gotta... That's weird. Maybe I can't read books on the clock app anymore. Might have to go strictly to... Yeah. That's so strange, though. I appealed it. I don't understand the... I don't understand why I got that... Like, I got that once before with, like, D&D. When I was streaming my D&D game on TikTok. And I don't understand why... Why it's doing that? Maybe we can't read this book. I don't know. Yeah, but this chapter doesn't have anything in it. Like that just started. I don't understand. I don't know. That's weird because like we've been reading this. This is like we're on chapter 12. Like I don't understand like why I appealed it. We'll see what happens. That's so strange. I don't. It did it last chapter, but like it didn't do it for any of the other times. I don't get it. Yeah, it's weird. Well, no, because it didn't. Hang on. Does it say what my restriction is? Does it read? The behavior is not in line with our policies. Gifting is suspended as live reason. Feature continuous and monotonous actions without clear objectives of sustaining engagement. So, yeah, I don't... Yeah, it says this behavior is not in line with our policies. Gifting is suspended in this live reason. Feature continuous and monotonous actions without clear objectives of sustaining engagement. Learn more in rules and guidance. I don't know, because I'm not... Is it because I'm not moving enough? Is that it? Yeah, they have been ramping up demonetization. But I'm not really monetized, though. I just get live gifts. That's it. I guess I'm not moving enough. Maybe? I don't know. That's weird. Guess I need... If that's the problem... Maybe... Yeah, read 1984 next. Maybe what I'll have to do is I'll have to figure out a way to get Live Studio working on my computer better. And then there's some things I can do so that it doesn't yeah, there are some things that I can do for this that'll so I don't get that error again. Yeah, it's saying that I'm not engaging enough. I'm not doing anything that's interesting enough to gather engagement. Maybe you guys gotta hit the likes a couple more times. I don't know, so that it seems like maybe that's it, because you guys aren't hitting the hearts. I don't know. I have no idea why it would do that. I've never. It doesn't do that often. The only other time it's done that to me was from D&D. Like, I was streaming our D&D game, and it gave me the same, like, the warning went away. No, still there. Appeal in progress. I don't understand. Do not understand. I mean, there's only a few more pages. Yeah. Well, we'll try. We'll try. I don't know. If you guys, like, every once in a while, just hit the hearts a couple more times. Maybe that'll make him think that maybe it's just because you guys. Maybe it's because, like, if you guys aren't, if they're not getting, like, a lot of comments or likes or something like that, they think that I'm just, like, bot farming, maybe? I don't know. I'm not trying to do that. Like, I'm not trying to get you guys to, like, I'm not trying to pander for likes or something like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, like, I'm wondering if that's what it is. Maybe, like, because sometimes you guys are more talkative than other nights, and maybe that's it. And it thinks you guys are bots and that I'm a bot. I don't know. I have no clue. Like I said, the only other time I've ever gotten that error was when I tried to stream my D&D game, and it said I was unoriginal and boring. Okay. I know, you guys were listening. Like, all right. Is that so? The Twi'lek cut off a thin slice of steak and sniffed it before putting it in his mouth. What happened? The red-skinned freak, the one they call the Tooth. What's his name, Jagannath? Mig shoveled a bite of his own food and gulped it down, wiping the corner of his mouth with his shirt cuff. They put him in there again, and the powers that be or whatever, they matched him up against that crazy snow beast. A Wampa? The Twi'lek cocked an eyebrow. I wasn't aware that they actually still had one of them here. Had one, Mig said grimly, picking up his fork again. So anyway, it starts out pretty much exactly like you expect. The Wampa's just pounding the unholy guts out of the redskin, making him work for dinner, right? I mean, it's not even fair. We're all thinking Mr. Tooth is gonna lose. Look up other storytelling? What do you mean other storytelling? I don't know what that means. Mr. Tooth is gonna lose. A lot more than his tooth this time. You know what I'm saying. Another bite loaded in, chewed twice and swallowed. Then all of a sudden, just when you think it's over, bam! Meg slammed his fist on the table and paused for dramatic effect. The tooth, like, actually reaches in and tears open the thing's chest. Is that so? And then he shoves his hand in the thing's stomach up to his elbows, grabs the thing's heart, and is like crushing it on his own hands. Zero took another bite of steak. Impressive. I'm not even yanking you, man. They showed the whole thing, and then boom! The Wampa just kind of sags back and on the spot. Meg shook his head again. Totally non-linear. Makes you think, though. Other creators see what they are doing. Surely someone is reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. I guess I gotta find some other live readers that read on live and see what they do to make it more interesting. Yeah, I mean, Miggs picked up his fork and nudged his food around his tray and put it down again. Because, I mean, when you cognate it, right? If you've got a Wampa in here, then seriously, who knows what else they got locked up down there? You know? Such as? Well, I mean, like the wolf worm. Zero gazed at him opaquely. You really believe that? Dunno, man. I heard rumors is all. Way down inside the prison where nobody ever goes. The Twi'lek was about to comment when he felt something bump against him hard enough to knock his tray sideways. He turned around and saw the inmates standing directly behind him. Bone Kings. 4 of them. Zero studied their faces one by one. Nice meal, Zero. The bald, bearded inmate in front of him, drawing the name out with deliberate sing-song mockery, while he eyed the half-finished steak and greens on Zero's plate. You know, there's something I've always been meaning to ask you. How come you always get to eat better than the rest of us? I would think that would be abundantly obvious, Zero said. I walk a higher path than you do. Is that so? In almost every conceivable regard, Zero said. Yes. In front of him, as Bass Nailhead, boss of the Bone Kings. Nailhead was a flesh-eater, known among the gladiatorial fighting circuit for devouring at least some part of every living thing he'd ever... Word was that he enjoyed a cult following, and was one of the few inmates to receive fan mail, packages, even the occasional wedding proposal. Wedding proposal? Ugh. Although rumors circulated that he actually had a family and relatives back on Tapassi. Funny thing is, Nailhead leered at him, spit bubbles clustered at the corners of his mouth. He was literally foaming at the mouth. From inside the left sleeve of his uniform, a long, hard shape protruded against the fabric, its sharpened tip just visible at the end of his sleeve. I bet your red stuff comes out spilling out just as easily as anybody else's. What do you think? On either side of him, in his peripheral vision, Zero saw Miggs and Halleck rising gamely to their feet into a protective stance. He gestured for them to sit down. It's all right, he said quietly. I'm sure that Mr. Nailhead was just getting ready to apologize for his unseemly behavior. Wrong again, Zero. Without waiting for an answer, Nailhead reached down and grabbed Zero's collar, and yanking him to his feet so abruptly that the Twi'lek's tray flipped over and went clattering to the floor, spilling the remains of his steak and greens across the tiles beneath their feet. The sharpened shaft of the bone in Nailhead's sleeve had edged up and was now pushing into the soft place beneath Zero's neck. See, we learned something new last night when we faced off against the gravity massive in the tunnels. Nailhead said. Us and them worked it out together, you might say. Oh? The Twi'lek gaze remained absolutely steady, and what might that be? We don't need you nearly as much as you need us. Fact is, the only reason you run this place like this is because these maggots think you do. Once they stop thinking it, you stop running it. Fascinating, Zero said. It's a miracle that none of you was hurt thinking so hard. Ooh, that's a burn. Nailhead grunted. Not half as fascinating as it's going to be when we haul you out to the tunnels and rip out your throat. Ugh. Is that what Delia would want? Nailhead stiffened. He pushed the sharpened bone slightly deeper into the soft tissue of Zero's throat, fixing it with a stare. What did you just say? Your sister, the Twi'lek answered. She still sends you letters, doesn't she? Because she thinks about you. She remembers the life that you used to be like on Tapassi. After everything you've done, she hasn't stopped hoping you'll come back and be the boy that she remembers. The one who could always sing and make her laugh with every verse of Sweet Fronde Fane. Nailhead drew in a shallow, audible breath and cocked his head ever so slightly. Behind the rampant tangle of his beard, all the ferocity had drained from expression, leaving the face strangely slack and vacant. How did you... He swallowed and continued his voice oddly hoarse. How did you know about that? I've been here a long time, Zero said. You learn all sorts of things when you've been here as long as I have. A person of interest such as myself hears things. About your family and your sister in particular, and of course, I can always pass on messages in either direction. Nailhead released him and took a step back. For an instant, a spark of what could have been actual civility shimmered in the cloudy depths of his eyes. A distant clarity that reflected back on the man he might have been beneath years of suffocating depravity. Perhaps it's time you returned to your friends, Mr. Nailhead. Zero spoke in the same gentle, patient tone with which he might suggest an evening stroll through the common area. It sounds as if you still have some thinking to do. Nailhead took another step away, his hands hanging limp at his sides. He said nothing, didn't even blink, just turned and began making his way back against the dinning hall to where the other Bone Kings were waiting. Whoa! Miggs exhaled as he and Halleck watched Nailhead depart. Zero, man, that was crazy. Even for you. How did you... He looked back at the table and stopped. Zero was already gone. So, thus ends our reading for tonight. Because... Oh, no. There we go. Groovy. Yeah. So we will read tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe if I'm not banned or something. Do you have any undershave? I don't know what that is. Huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have an undercut. Yeah, I have it. It's cut. Oh, it's like right there. Yeah, cause so it started because this all used to be purple back here, and I got laid off, and so for job interviews, you know, working in cybersecurity, working in IT, like couldn't have purple hair, so I cut it all off. I shaved it all off. And then I realized that I really, really enjoy having an undercut. It's very comfortable for me because, like, especially in the summer because it gets so hot down here, it's just more comfortable. So then I've had it for 5 years now. I severely love having an undercut. Um, I think it bothers my mother a bit because she thinks I look a little bit like a boy, but I don't think so. I love having an undercut. It's more it's sensory wise again because I'm neurodivergent, so I have some sensory issues. Sensory wise, I like it. It's like a little stim because I can, like, especially when it's shaved really short. Like right now it's getting long. I have like another 3 weeks before I'll go to the hairdresser and get it cut again. But like it's kind of like a little bit of like a fidget toy because sometimes they'll be like just oh yay, gives me something to play with my own hair. Hi Brandon. So yeah, it's I love having an undercut. It definitely I get to keep my nice long hair. You know, I love having long hair. But at the same time, I hate having hair on my neck. Like hair on my neck drives me insane, so I get to have the undercut which keeps hair off my neck. So it's a win-win. Love my undercut. Uh I that's like the only change I've made to my hair as far as my haircut in like I don't know, 20 years. I go to the hairdresser every once in a while. I go get bangs. I saw a video, like the video I posted today about how girls want lightsabers for Valentine's Day. That's obviously very old. Because my hair is so short. I was thinking of like, oh, I look cute with that hair. I should go back to short hair again. But we'll see. So anyway, it is now 11 o'clock. And I am sleepy. So I'm going to sign off for the night. I hope you guys have a good day tomorrow. I hope you make good choices, to quote Barely Sarian. Yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll read 2 more chapters. Good night. Oh! Anyway, hi guys. I forgot you guys are still here.